It's such an honor to be here. I really appreciate the opportunity to just share time and space with such a beautiful community of souls. It was a blessing to be here on Friday doing what I love, sharing time with beautiful souls through sound, and so thank you.
Thank you.
Today I wanted to talk about our connection to spirit through sound. And, that's kind of simple for me to say because of some of the things I practice for work is sound healing, but it didn't start out that way. It started out as just something that was extremely joyful for me to experience. It started out as a way that I didn't know was going to bring me closer to God. It was something that was unexpected. And then through the years, as my connection grew stronger, I remembered the connection that I had as a child when going to church, raised in the Christian church, and that feeling of absolute bliss when singing, when in worship, when in community. It reminded me of that connection when I started working with sound more intentionally. And through the years, some of you may or may not know, but I have opened up a wellness center in Chico with some wonderful people, holistic healing, and I practice and teach Reiki and yoga and Ayurveda, which is traditional East Indian medicine. So basically everything I do, my whole life is dedicated to connecting to spirit. So it's such a joy for me to work. It doesn't feel like work, and I know people say that. So, walking the path as human is, it's not easy. We know that. We have ups and downs. We have big trials, big joys, little joys. And along the way, we forget. We forget in our day-to-day lives sometimes that we are a part of God, that we are connected, that we are one with all that is. And so when we come together like this in community, we remember that. And, once a week on Sundays, I think probably for most of you it's more often than that, but, it's more than once a week on Sundays that we can have the opportunity to connect. And we can do this in many, many different ways. But I think one of the most simplest and quick ways to do it is through sound. And when we remember that music, our voice, our hands, if they're playing instruments, are helping us to express the language of spirit, because our true nature is spirit. That we are spirit in form, which I believe all of you really live that fully. Music or sound is a way for us to connect to God, and we feel the joy and we feel the bliss when we're in this state. And I'm talking about beautiful music. I mean, for some people, heavy metal might be a thing, but, it could be piano, it could be voice, it could really be anything. It's the ancient language for our spirit. It's a way for us to connect without words. It's a way for us to feel the truth of who we are and remember, helping ourselves to remember who we are. And when we experience sound together, we're reminded that we're connected and that we are one. But sound also includes words. It also includes thoughts. And when we can bring meaningful intention into our words, into our thoughts, we are doing the same. We are connecting with Spirit. I was thinking about, it's just so interesting as I was reflecting on what to share today, and I opened up, even before he said I opened up the book, it was to page 111, and it was oneness. And then 112 was weave, and it's talking about the oneness. And I believe this is truly our united path as a species, is to walk this path to remember that we are one. Not only that, but to remember that we are creator beings, that we are creating with our thoughts, we are creating with our words, we are creating with our actions. And the ancients have always taught, maybe not all of them, but some of the wise ones would teach that sound creates form. We now know that through science helps us understand that indeed sound creates form. Music can create geometric structures in the unseen fabric that connects us all. Not only that, but our thoughts. Our thoughts are also a form of sound. Our words are creating form. And so we have a responsibility, but it's also a gift to be intentional about the sounds that we are creating in our own lives. And so when we come together and commune, when we're in community, we create a resonant sound together. We create a resonant frequency together. We, in fact, are contributing to the peace of the world. And, you know, as you were mentioning, Rosie, I think it is, gratitude is different than prayer. It's a different sound. It's gratitude and prayer are both ways to connect and commune with the one, with God, with our Creator. But when we do that with intention, it's so much more powerful. And when we do that together, it's exponential. And so it's our responsibility to be more self-aware about what we're creating and how we're creating and how we're coming into contact with people in our world and those in our community, whether we agree with them, like them, love them, or not. We are changing the world. And it's hard to see that sometimes, and it's hard to feel that sometimes, especially when we're going through hardship, or we're seeing things out there on the world stage that make us feel disconnected. But we're never disconnected. Music helps us to remember that connection. Yes. I wrote some notes, so I'm just making sure that I'm bringing it all together. I think it's happening.
It is.
But it is our responsibility to be aware that we are creating. And I think it was the last song we sang, it was talking about, we're all instruments and we're all bringing these sounds together. And I love that so much because it's absolutely the truth. It's what we're doing all of the time. So the more aware we can be of the sounds we're making, the more harmonious we can be. And the language of the universe is music. The language of the universe is this beautiful melody that we may not even be able to hear all the time, but it's within us. And those sounds are the reminders of who we truly are, spirit and form. So I love being in a community like this where this truth is recognized and this truth is lived. It's hard to do that sometimes when we're out and about at the grocery store and people are in a rush and It's cranky out there. So it can be challenging to be aware of the sounds that we're making. It can be challenging to remember that we have the power to create, to change what we're feeling in another room. Some of you might be familiar with the HeartMath Institute, where they've done some really cool research about resonant frequency when we connect to our heart center and we focus on an elevated emotion such as gratitude. We change the field, our energy field, and then that field is actually more powerful than a field that holds anxiety or hate or anger. And so if we can remember how powerful we are just by feeling, just by being present and focusing on what sounds we're making within, then we will be comforted. And remember, even if we don't see the great changes that we might feel or know are coming someday, perhaps centuries later, we don't know. We can have comfort and hope and know that we are here for a purpose, to remember who we are, to remember that we are creator beings connected to all that is. So I encourage you, as you move through your week, to use loving sounds with yourself and to remember who you are. Remember that you are love and form. Remember that you are creating and that we're creating together. We're always creating together. So I love being in a field, an energy field like this, because we're sending out really powerful ripples, and maybe it combats or equalizes out some of the football field, stadium field of energy and things like that, where there's a lot of anger and there's a lot of tension. But we are powerful. We are power-filled, as I like to say, with the light of God. So thank you for sharing your light. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share mine.